Good evening. My name is Conklin McLeod of NBN's local sports news tonight. Good news for the Knights women as they finally secure a win up in Newcastle. Was 2 from 2 for the Newcastle Maitland Region Knights in the Lower Daly Cup as they secure their second win over the North Coast Bulldogs. The mixed results for the Central Coast Roosters, beaten by the Greater Northern Tigers in the Lower Daly Cup, before securing a huge win in the Andrew Johns Cup. But first tonight, after only 2 rounds without a win, the Newcastle Knights the Newcastle Knights women finally put that to bed with a 26-4 win over the Bulldogs up at St John's Oval, up at their hometown in Newcastle today. It was just massive for the Knights, who were just too strong for their rivals. Finally, after 2 rounds without a win, Newcastle's women finally had to do something like a drought. They, of course, had to beat the Bulldogs up at St John's Oval. With Newcastle's women, of course, it was the Newcastle Knights women securing their first win of the season, securing a much anticipated 26-4 win. It was just massive for Newcastle, who were just too strong for their enemies. Thankfully, the locals were cheering on, right up in the crowd. It was also a huge one for the Newcastle Maitland Region Knights, right up at the local sports ground in Cessnock in the Hunter Valley.
Won't break. That's the name once again. No one's going to beat him, and he gets his second for the afternoon. Bill for me,
and of course, Newcastle was just huge.
Faulkner finds Lane. He gets his hat trick for the Butler.
With a huge hat trick of tries, it was just spectacular for Newcastle.
And they're just 40 metres away from his try line. Is another 6 points.
Of course,
coming now. This is John
unstoppable.
Finds it back into that's Butler. Finds it into Harper Collins, and he'll have forever and a day to get over. Carry Bulldog. Butler. There's the intercept there for the Doggies, and that's going to find.
And of course, Newcastle just had to do something about it after that.
He hasn't had his hands on the footy much there, Robbie Inglis. Go through, don't push it up. This is Ellis. Finds into the chest.
And of course,
Lane goes for his 4th.
Good news came for the Knights.
For West. There's a nice pass there.
They managed to secure a 44-12 win over the North Coast, right up in Cessnock.
So this is now Hennessy. Finds into the chest of that Cody Hancock.
Their biggest ever win of all.
On the score sheet.
And of course, the Knights got the job done, right up in the SG Ball Cup. They had to beat the Bulldogs right up at St John's Oval, right up in Newcastle. But of course, with a hat-trick of tries scored, it was just spectacular. And of course, Newcastle ran and scored.
I've got one coming there, yeah.
It was massive for Newcastle, who were just too strong for their rivals right throughout the game. Of course, the Knights, who of course being defensive, managed to win the game with a huge win.
Easy his way.
Of course, they managed to stop their rivals beating them. And of course, with the Knights managing to win on home soil.
Hey! Release! Release! Oh, that's it. Ball out.
And also, it was a huge one for Newcastle's Harold Matthews side.
Oh! Go to 92.
They managed to beat the Bulldogs as well, right up at the St John's Oval.
89, up and square. Oh! Go for it. You're down. Go for it.
It was just massive for Newcastle, who were too strong for their rivals, securing a big win right up at home.
Happy? Yeah. What happened?
Coming up, we'll wrap it all up as there's a mixed result for the Central Coast Roosters in both the Andrew Johns and Laurie Daly Cups.
Make it grow with the people you know, people who won't let you down. You know where you're going, and we wanna go with you. Wanna keep it growing, wanna keep it going, and we know where you're going to. This is our town, it's here that we're born and bred. Wanna see it growing, wanna see it going, wanna keep it moving ahead. This is our town, it belongs to you and me. And the Newcastle Permanent is our society. This is our town, this is our town, our town, our town. Sailing away on the crest of a wave, it's like magic. Oh, rolling and riding, slipping and sliding, it's magic. You and your sweet desire, you took me higher and higher. It's a living thing. It's a terrible thing to lose. It's a given thing. What a terrible thing to lose. It's a living thing. Our environment, it's a living thing.
Summer deals now at Hadley's. This giant boulder men's mountain bike just $449. And this giant enchant ladies mountain bike just $449. Giant deals at Hadley's.
If you think my freestyle's okay, wait until you see Telstra's. We've got some great freestyle deals right now with free offers on overseas calls, mobile calls and internet access. Telstra is also offering you a chance to win a free package for four to see myself and the Australian team swim against the world in Japan. So look for me in the Telstra ad in your newspaper for competition details. And for details on their great offers, call the Freestyle Champion now. Telstra.
Wake up in the morning, gotta get my people, 'cause the Herald is the best way to start your day. In the morning, gotta get my people.
Call M&H Air, your local Temperzone air conditioning experts, for sales, installation and service on all Temperzone split system and ducted air conditioning. Call 1-800 444 911 for service.
M&H Air.
Come, the big red ball, from the bush to the bay. Yes, it's Lotto. Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. It's the big one you want. It's the game for you. 'Cause it's the big red ball that makes dreams come true. Dreams come true. Dreams come true. The big red ball. The big red ball. It's the big red ball that makes dreams come true.
Go Harvey Norman for 36 months interest-free terms. 36 months interest-free on computers, printers, scanners, fax machines and much, much more. 36 months interest-free terms now at Harvey Norman. Minimum purchase $500, 1/3 deposit. Conditions apply. See store for details.
Harvey Norman, go!
There were mixed results for the Central Coast Roosters right up at home in Gosford. They managed to secure a huge win over the Greater Northern Tigers in the Andrew Johns Cup, while their Lower Daly side went down 34-12. But of course, the news became much better for the Central Coast Roosters women, whose winning streak has since become unbeaten after defeating the Cronulla Sharks on Saturday with a 14-12 win.
The try is Tali.
It was Gosford on the Central Coast, the Roosters coming back home. And of course, they had to beat the Greater Northern Tigers right up in the Andrew Johns Cup.
Takes a screamer, and he gets the opener for the Tigers. Trouble-free.
And because of that, it became much good.
Then Peckham into a gaping hole for the Roosters' third try.
Also, the good news was it became the best one.
Elliott kicks in behind in the corner, looking for Jones, gets the bouncing ball.
The Roosters managing to win by that much.
On the attack here.
Also, things did not look good up in the Lower Daly Cup, with the Roosters going down to the Greater Northern Tigers.
Wrapped up in the end. Continue to go out.
Also, even though it was tough for the Central Coast, but despite producing a comeback, the Roosters just couldn't snatch a win.
Gets the Northern Tigers' third try. And we're on tackle 3.
Earlier, the Central Coast Roosters women were up in Sydney and had to beat the Cronulla Sharks over there with a huge 14-12 win. And of course, it all became huge tackles as well as tries from the Gosford girls. And of course, with the Central Coast side proving way too strong. Their undefeated winning streak continues. It means after round 3 in the women's premiership ladder, the Roosters are in 6th, the Knights have moved straight up to 8th. While in the SG Ball Cup, the Knights have moved straight up to 5th. While in the Howard Matthews Cup, there's good news. The Knights have moved up to 6th. Yeah, and of course, go the Knights. And don't forget, that's about it for now. And of course, from all of us here, good night.